This is Derek Maxim, Chairman of the Lakeville Board of Health. I'm calling the Lakeville Board of Health meeting to order. It is Wednesday, June 3rd, 2020 at 6:02 p.m. I'm going to make sure all the members can hear me. Please respond affirmative if you can. Bob Galucci.
Aye.
Chris Spratt.
Affirmative.
Edward Cullen.
Affirmative.
We have two engineers that should be on the line. Will from Zenith.
Affirmative.
And Mr. Collins from Collins Engineering.
I'm here.
Okay. And there were also two abutters notified. I don't believe they are on the line, but if they do come on during the meeting, we will address them. Is there anyone recording this other than Lake Cam and the Lakeville Board of Health? I see no one. This open meeting of the Lakeville Board of Health is being conducted remotely, consistent with Governor Baker's executive order of March 12, 2020. The current state of emergency in Commonwealth due to the outbreak of the COVID-19 virus. The order, which you can find posted with the agenda of materials for this meeting, allows public bodies to meet entirely remotely, so long as reasonable public access is afforded to the public can follow along with deliberations of the meeting. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation, unless such participation is required by law. This meeting will not feature public comment. It will only feature comment of the two notified abutters of the property referenced. Item of the agenda. So I will go to 10 Central Ave, meet with Collins Engineering to discuss local upgrade requests. I will turn it over to Mr. Collins. Are you there?
Yes, my name's George Collins. I'm a registered professional engineer and proprietor of Collins Civil Engineering Group out of West Bridgewater. I'm representing Mr. John Farrell, the owner of the property. It should be noted that this plan was approved. I apologize. And this plan was previously approved in 2011 by the board. That application is subsequently expired. That particular plan in 2011 was actually a modification of a 2002 plan. So this is technically the third time that this is going before the board. We are requesting two local upgrade approval requests. One is for a setback to the abutting well to the south of the property at 9 Hollis Avenue. That abutter was notified by certified mail, and my office did provide a copy of the signed green card. The other, basically, the other request is actually a waiver allowing one deep observation hole. At the time in 2002, there was just logistical issues and conflicts with the existing septic system that prevented us from being able to have a second test hole. And so basically, since then, with the 2011 application, we requested the exact same local upgrade approval request. Again, one for the setback to the well to the south at 9 Hollis Avenue, and the request to allow one observation hole, one rather than the two required by Title V. It should be noted that this is a rental property and they are experiencing breakout at the ground surface, and they've been pumping regularly. I'd be more than happy to answer any questions that the board or public may have at this time.
Okay, thank you, George. I've reviewed the plan. I don't see any questions that I would have. It looks about the only spot it could pretty much go on the property. It is a little closer to the wells in the existing cesspool, but there's really nothing else we could do with it. Bob Palucci, do you have any comments?
I just have a question. Is it in failure? Because why did it not get replaced for the last, how many, 10 years or so?
I do not have the answer to that. I believe it's rental property, so it's, what I'm thinking is basically it was probably in failure, but they hadn't been experiencing any actual hydraulic backup. But now I got a call from my client a month ago saying that they would like to move forward with the system, and I informed him that those permits had expired, so we had to apply for a new permit. So I don't know the specifics of why he didn't go ahead with this. The other thing to be aware of is this particular property did tie into the Clark Shores Water Corporation water supply recently. Originally, this was on seasonal water supply.
Do you know when they're gonna put it in?
I think they're anxious to get this going right away. He has a tenant in the house that is basically complaining, and it's my understanding as soon as this is approved, he's going to secure a contractor and move forward with the work. So hopefully I won't be back here in 9 years again.
Well, I'm just gonna ask that we have Ed follow up on it, and this time if it doesn't go in, that we condemn the house immediately the day after the permit runs out.
Yeah, it's my understanding that they want to go ahead with the work immediately.
Okay,
Because
I'm
of
good.
because of the breakout that they're experiencing at the property.
I'm good with it, Derek.
Okay, thank you, Bob. Chris Pratt, do you have any comments?
No, nothing too much. I was just looking at the plan myself. Was the water table close to the inverts on the tanks? I have a chance to look at it that detailed.
Yeah, no, the way that it's designed right now, we have in excess of 6 feet of water table separation to the bottom of the system, and we dramatically exceed the 1 foot to the invert for water table.
Yeah, I'm good with it.
Okay, thank you, Chris. Ed, would you like to comment on this before we take a vote?
Yeah, it seems like everyone's okay with it. Like I said, I agree too. It's the best you can do. I mean, you really don't need a second test pit with such a small field. He's keeping it as far away from that abut as well as possible. Although it is closer than the cesspool, he's got a septic tank. He's got the chamber is going to be higher than the bottom of the cesspool, and he's got ventilation on the chamber. So the combination of the three will get better treatment and the treatment before it hits the water table. So yeah, I think it's a big improvement.
Okay, thank you. Is there any abutters that came on the line before we take a vote? I see no abutters. Are you good with it, Bob? You'd like to make a motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion. We approve the septic system as proposed with, this one isn't spelled out, just the one variance? Two, with the two variances requested.
Second.
I believe there's, okay, yeah, and then one about the Zoom meeting. Any discussion? All those in favor, Bob Palucci,
Aye.
Chris Pratt,
Aye.
Derek Maxim, aye. Thank you, Mr. Collins.
Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
You too.
Thank you.
Yeah, if I can just say though, Ed, make a note to follow up on that. If they've known that's been in failure for over 10 years, I don't want it to go be failed for another 10 years.
No, I agree. I wasn't even aware of it until it came in, to be honest. But
I'll inform my client that this is something that absolutely needs to be taken care of immediately. So, all right, thank you very much, gentlemen.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Next on the agenda, 20 Lincoln Street. Meet with Zenith Consulting Engineers to discuss local upgrade requests. I'll turn it over to Zenith. Will, are you there?
Yep, I'm here.
Go for it, Will.
All right. Sorry, the
All right.
plan just popped up. Will Connolly, Zenith Consulting Engineers for the record. We are proposing a repair to an existing failed septic system at 20 Lincoln Street. We're requesting 4 local upgrade approvals. The first being a reduction to groundwater from 5 to 3 feet for the leaching field. The reduction in the number of deep holes from 2 to 1. Use of a sieve analysis in lieu of a perk test, and the reduction of the 12-inch separation between the inlet and outlets to the tank and high groundwater. So the idea here was to use a Presby in order to get the reduction from 5 to 3 feet. Because we had modeling at 34 inches, so the system's going to be way out of the ground. And the main concern is drainage, getting it around the system out to the back of the house, because we don't want to be sending water right at the foundation. The other concern was just minimizing tree clearing in the back. Obviously, the higher we go with the system, the greater the footprint's going to be as far as grading. So the idea is to keep it as low as possible and reduce the amount of trees we're clearing back there. And as far as the reduction from the inlet and outlet to groundwater, we're pretty much as high as we can be. We're not able to raise the grade over the tank because we're in between the swimming pool and the driveway. It's just not possible. So we're going with a commercial tank in order to get the 9 inches over it. And that's pretty much the best we can do as far as buoyancy goes. So if there's any questions, I'll be happy to try to answer them now.
Okay, Will, thank you. I was talking to Ed earlier. I believe this was revised. Ed, did they submit the new plan and stamp it in revised? I think I still have the old one because I picked up this a couple days ago.
yeah, they did. They did send the new one in. The big difference is the tank right here. Like now they have 9 inches between the grade and the top of the tank, whereas I think before they had about 15 inches. So
Yeah.
as Will said, they raised it as much as they could, and they really can't go anymore and abide by the regulation of 9 inches of cover. So.
Okay, do you have any other comments on this, Ed, while you're speaking on it?
Not so much. I mean, they are going for a 2-foot reduction, which you can do with a Presby. Now, we came up with this one before, whereas to go with a 40% reduction and the 2-foot reduction there. And in this case, they're really not taking the 40% reduction. It's a slight reduction. It's only about 10%, I think a little less than 10%. So you pretty much got a full-size field, and they're just really asking for the reduction to groundwater from 5 to 3. And like I said, you get an extra 3 inches of sand there with a Presby, so it's really about 3.5. So overall, it's not a nitrogen-sensitive area, so there's less of an issue than for the separation of groundwater. So I'm okay with it. I said, I do agree. They're doing everything they can with the tanks now. They are as high as they can be, so those are justified. And there was no way we were going to do a perk with groundwater where it was. So, you know, we had to do the sieve analysis. So, yeah, pretty much they're all justified.
Okay, thank you. One question for you, Will. Does it show where the old septic tank in the old field is? I'm just trying to catch it.
So the old tank is where we're showing the clean out. That's where I believe that's where we shot the invert. That's the inlet to the tank. And the leaching field is somewhere on the other side of the driveway, kind of where we dug. I know Niles was trying to avoid hitting the old system when he was digging over there.
I think it's around next is.
Where did you say it was, Ed?
See where the text of proposed 1,500 gallon?
Yeah.
Right around in this area here. I think because the tank is around right in front of this one where we're saying where the clean out is.
Yeah.
Then it comes out underneath the driveway and goes to this area here.
Okay, so there is a note to remove the existing tank per Title V. And what is the old field? Is it leaching pits by any chance? Do we know, or is it just a field that's going to get left abandoned in place? Leaching field? Any idea?
I'm not sure on that. I'd have to get back to you.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure it wasn't a pit, leaching pit that needed to be pumped and crushed and filled in place. We just don't like
It's not a pit. Whether it's chambers or an actual pipe and stone field, I'm not sure, but it's definitely not a pit.
Okay, that was my only concern. Bob Palucci, any comment on it?
No, I'm okay with it the way it is now.
Okay, thank you. Chris Spratt, comment?
Yeah, same. I think we're doing the best we can out there.
Okay, and there was no abutters notified on this one. It was just for variance not to an abutter. So I'm good with it also. I would like to make a motion on the 4 upgrade requests.
I'll make a motion. We approve the subsurface sewage disposal system upgrade at 20 Lincoln Street with 3 local upgrade approval requests.
I'll second that.
Was there 3 or 4? My paper.
I believe it was 4.
It says 3 twice. That's why it's upgrade. So yes, 4 upgrade approval requests.
And I'll second that.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Bob Palucci,
Aye.
Chris Spratt,
Aye.
Derek Maxim, aye. Thank you, Will.
Thanks, Will.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Bill.
Okay, next on the agenda, betterment loan. Approval of betterment loan at 4 Hollis Ave in the amount of $16,640.
I'm okay with it.
Chris,
Yeah, I'm good.
Ed, do you have any comment on this? Is everything all set for the signing of it?
Yep. The paperwork's all mostly done and it just needs the approval.
Okay, and is the amount correct? I read, I don't have the actual paperwork in front of me. It's $16,640?
Correct.
Okay, so we'd like to make a motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we approve the betterment loan for 4 Hollis Ave in the amount of $16,640.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Bob Palucci,
Aye.
Chris Spratt,
Aye.
Derek Maxim, aye. Okay, next on the agenda, Marathon Nutrition LLC. Approve a new food establishment license, pending inspection and ServSafe certificates. Is there anyone here to talk on that one? I hear no one. I'll turn it over to Ed just for comment to see where they stand with everything we need.
Yeah, they don't have their ServSafe certificates, but they have registered for classes. I believe next week they're going to take the class. They were hoping to open up within 2 weeks, but it looks like they're going to push that date back. They still also need the inspection from Derek Macedo, and that hasn't been scheduled yet. He was working with them to schedule it, and then for whatever reason, they pushed back their opening date. So it's less of an urgency now. And they mainly make just shakes. In fact, they really didn't want to feel they needed to do the Safe Serve classes, but we insisted on it because in their mind, all they're doing is taking powder and mixing it with ice, and they're making the smoothies. So it's not a full service restaurant or anything like that. It's mainly just taking a packaged product, mixing it with ice, and presenting it in a glass.
There's no fruit involved? I'm just kind of surprised for a smoothie shop.
Yeah, that's what we were pushing them, and they said no. They don't even have fruit, or they don't even use milk or anything like that, or any dairy products. That's what they say. We'll see on the inspection, but
Where is this?
12 Harding Street.
Okay.
Is it in the gym?
No, it's the Italian shop out front with the Sprint stores, I believe. That's what Ed is in. That's 12 Harding.
So I know there was a juice bar inside the East Coast Fitness for a while. I know that, but yeah, that's the old Italian.
Tudo Italian.
Yep. Which
Yeah.
I missed that place. It was good stuff.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, and Ed, this license does go with that address, correct? When we approve it?
correct.
Okay, and they have to give us the ServSafe certificates prior to opening, is that also correct?
Correct.
Okay, and Derek has to inspect it prior
Correct.
to. Okay. I don't have any problems with it. Bob Bellucci, any other comment?
No, I'm fine.
Chris Spratt,
I'm good.
one of you like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion. We approve the food license for Marathon Nutrition LLC pending their ServSafe completion and final inspection from Derek Macedo.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Bob Bellucci,
Aye.
Chris Spratt,
Aye.
Derek Maxim, aye. Okay, next on the agenda, we're gonna jump back to the first thing that was on the agenda, Best Life Distributors, CBC products. Is there anyone here to discuss this from them? I hear no one. I'll turn it over to Ed. You must give us an update on this and what they're thinking to sell and what would be required from us to approve.
So their products are non-THC CBD products. So that's over 18, whereas a THC product is over 21. So basically the THC is what gives you the high in hemp or marijuana. So they're saying that, and they have showed us documentation that has 0 THC in their products. They claim it to be more of a medicinal thing. Whether it is a medicinal or not, I don't think they have the authorization to sell it as a medicinal product, but it is a popular product. A lot of people are taking CBD, and it comes in a variety of forms, everything from gummies to candy to other things. And what they want to do is they want to sell it in convenience stores in Lakeville. Now, I believe they already sell CBD in Nature's Pantry. So it's not like CBD is new to Lakeville, but the difference here is they would be selling it in convenience stores, whereas I guess it's similar to like a tobacco, whereas you don't want to sell tobacco in some places because you're afraid that the kids will buy them or something like that. So I think there's kind of a restriction in that. That's up to the Board of Health to determine whether it's okay to sell in a typical convenience store.
Okay, Ed. Would we have to specify the location where it was kept, like behind the counter, like where the cigarettes were kept and the tobacco products? Like it can't be just throughout the store, seeing it's an 18 and over product where they'd need to see an ID to buy it?
I don't know if you need to specify that, but I think you could try to specify that. I don't think there's a requirement that say, okay, you have to determine where in the store it's sold. But if you feel you want to make some provisions on that, we could do that, I'm sure.
Can I talk, Derek? I'd like to hear from town council if we have any obligation that we have to license this, because whether it's a derivative or whatever, I mean, the people in the town were very clear. They barely wanted the sale in industrial areas. So I don't know that I just want to go personally make a decision just to start selling it all over the town.
Okay. Chris, do you have any comments in on this?
More of a question for Ed, because I didn't get a chance to look it up, but I know the Mass Public, DPH was talking about having guidelines about selling this in towns. Did they define that it's up to us whether it's sold or not, or is it still kind of up in the air?
Yeah, it's still not really that clear. There's not a clear guideline yet. It's being sold in a lot of towns already, but it's not like a specified thing. So it's really up to the Board of Health. And they even say it's not really a requirement. It's more of an enforcement thing. Whereas if you guys are just okay with it, they're going to sell it. But if you guys are definitely against it, then you can say, like as Bob says, let's have someone else put a say in this or something like that, so you can make a decision. So you definitely can prevent them from selling it here. And I think what they're doing is, it's not a formal request for permission, but it's basically just saying, are we going to allow this? But
I know that most CBD is hemp derived, and hemp is legal nationally. It's not just states to state now. And it's in lotions, and I've purchased some at Nature's Pantry for myself. I've got all kinds of muscle and joint and all kinds of stuff, and it helps with inflammation. But not that I want to sway anyone. But I mean, it's nowhere near the same as what the other stuff that's being sold. But that being said, I just to be on the safe side, I agree with Bob. I think we should probably get a town council opinion just to be sure before we would go forward with anything.
Okay, thank you, Chris. I'm in agreement with both of you on that. Also, I always like to reach out to town council if we have questions on something. I don't know if I'm not against it or anything, because it does say it does not have any THC in it. But I think maybe we should limit, if you do have to have an ID to buy it, where it would be sold and kept in convenience stores.
yeah, you definitely need an ID. You definitely have to be over 18 to buy this. This is not allowed to be sold to children in any way.
I think part of the problem with that, and the reason for the ID thing too, is some of these products do have like 0.03% or something like that, or 0.003. But it's like non-alcoholic beer. You'd have to smoke like 10 pounds of it to get high, if it was even smokable. You know what I mean? Just like non-alcoholic beer, you got to drink like 40 of them to get drunk. So I think that's why there's putting that age restriction on it too. And not all products are the same. You see them in stores everywhere. This black market, there's some stuff out there too that's just garbage. It's probably not even real CBD that gets sold in some of these convenience stores.
Yeah, but there has to be something to it, in my opinion, or we wouldn't have to vote on it. If it was some perfectly safe thing for everybody to take, then they could just sell it. If it was legal in the state, they wouldn't need us to vote on it, correct? So there got to be something to it, or we wouldn't have to vote.
I think the reason for that is because there's so many different kinds of stuff out there that, it has to have some kind of restriction, and we have to have an opinion and a say on it.
I think the state kind of did a pass on this one. Like I said, rather than making the decision, they just said, we're not even going to make a decision and give you guidance. Whereas if they had a firm thing, they could say, okay, we're allowing this, and it should be sold here or there. but they just kind of take a pass and said, leave it up to the towns. And like I said, it's kind of a free for all. You know, some towns do it, some towns don't. Some towns allow you anything, whereas other towns won't allow it at all. You know, so.
And where it's hemp derived, the Cannabis Commission has nothing to do with hemp whatsoever. That's all Department of Agriculture. So I think that's another reason why probably DPH has decided to take a step away from it too and just leave it up to us which even I think reinforces more of what the three of us have already said. I think the town council should chime in just in case it's something we've missed. You know what I mean?
Honestly, it might be something we want to put on the ballot and let the people decide. I mean, maybe everybody's fine with it, and I don't know. I know you can sell pot certain places, and that's only in industrial. You know, there's a limited number of liquor stores. I mean, this has to have something to it, or else we wouldn't have to vote on it. If this was as a chocolate bar, we don't have to vote on it, a new chocolate bar. So there's something in there that's causing them to put the onus on us. And if it's a pure choice of, how people feel, the will of the community, then, maybe we should get some input from the community on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd recommend more research on it.
Okay, I agree with that also. And also, Ed, if we did at some point decide to go and let this go into convenience stores, would this be something we would have to go and, like the cigarettes, we have to do yearly kind of unannounced inspections and see if they are carding you? That would have to go on our list, correct?
I don't believe so, because we're really not doing that for Nature's Pantry, which is currently selling the CBD. So, if we are, then I can check to make sure, but I don't think we're doing any inspections on them to check where it is on the shelf or whether it's behind the counter or anything like that. So, like I said, it's being sold in Lakeville now, just not in convenience stores. So, if that's the case, then we probably should make sure we are supposed to be doing something and we're not, because right now we're not checking up on them.
Okay. So maybe we'll have a motion to continue this to the next meeting, and you can reach out to town council and get their opinion. And it's just also, Bob, I'm with you. It's tough seeing this is done on Zoom, which I am definitely not a fan of these Zoom meetings. I hope they end very quickly. But that is not up to us as the Board of Health, unfortunately. Maybe this was something we would have to continue to. We could actually have our normal meetings where the public could come in and voice their opinion on this also, once we do get feedback from town council.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea, honestly.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
Any other discussion?
I personally use this stuff, but I've got, I've done some investigation into the stuff I use, and it's been recommended to me by massage therapists. And if you find good stuff, it works, and it's pretty harmless. But my worry is, and I think the reason for the age thing too is because there's stuff out there that, it's like the same thing as it gets labeled as a supplement, and there's that stuff you see in convenience stores sold for, enhancements. We don't need to go into detail, but I'm sure we've all seen those pills that you see at the convenience store. I don't even know how the hell people are allowed to sell that. You know what I mean?
I don't know where you're shopping, Chris.
Tiger Balm and whatever that's out there. But yeah, I think it's still, I don't know, it's new, and I think people just want to stay away from it because it's not cannabis, it's not pot, it comes from hemp. So
But I think that's it. It's not pot, but is it a medicine? It's kind of that in between. Like, obviously you think it works, but it hasn't got the FDA approval to be a medicine yet.
It gets treated the same as vitamins, the supplements. There's no FDA approval. It's just it's a supplement.
And I'll make a motion, we continue it to our next meeting after we get some input from town council.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, Bob Palucci,
Aye.
Chris Pratt,
Aye.
Derek Maxim, aye. Okay, that is it under the, actually, we got to review meeting minutes as typed for April 1st, 2020. All three of us were present at that meeting. It was, I believe, our first Zoom meeting. Or it was a Zoom meeting. I don't know if it was the first or not. Bob Palucci, have you read through them? Are you okay with them?
I read through the first part of it, and honestly, when after printing out all that CBD pages that came in that email, I ran out of ink before I could read all through it. But if you guys are good with it, I'm good with it.
Okay, it's actually only one page that I have as typed. Chris, are you okay with it?
Yeah, I'm good with it.
I'm also good with it.
All right, make a motion to approve Board of Health of Lakeville's meeting minutes dated April 1st, 2020 as typed.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All those in favor, Bob Palucci,
Aye.
Chris Pratt,
Aye.
Derek Maxim, aye. Next, review and approve meeting minutes as typed for April 15th, 2020. Bob Palucci, were you out of ink for this one, or did this one come through?
No, that page took up the end of my ink, so I was pretty much out by the time I got to those. So that one had a bunch of stuff on it. Would you mind if we continue that until I had a chance to look at it?
No, not at all. Chris, any comment?
Yeah, just under the plan approvals discussion. Says there was a discussion about the agent approving plans that were for a local variance with no butters notified. Did we want to clarify that more? Because I know we discussed that a little bit more than just this paragraph.
We did discuss it, but I don't think we ever continued it on to any more of our meetings yet to decide what we were going to allow Ed just to approve in office without having to come to a meeting.
Right, and then, yeah, the end of the 78 precinct stuff, it says there was a discussion, briefing, or no, there was a brief discussion regarding regulations, but yeah, I guess maybe it's just something that needs to be put on a meeting. Not so much this needs to be cleared, we just need to talk about it, right, and vote on it.
Yes. Yes, that's something we had discussed and we never followed up. So Ed, maybe you could just jot that one down to put it on one of the meetings that are coming up. Again, if we find out if the Zoom meetings are ending at some point, maybe we can put it on the first in-person meeting. Discuss what we'd like you to be able to approve. Bob had thought one way and I was misinterpreted as a different way.
Yeah, I had too.
But want to just continue these to the next meeting then, so Bob can review them?
Yep, I'll make a motion. We continue it to the next meeting.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, Bob Palucci,
Aye.
Chris Pratt,
Aye.
Derek Maxim, aye. That is it under new business. Under old business, discuss recent Board of Health agent pending items. I'll turn it over to Bob Palucci. Do you have anything?
Yeah, not on that, but I had asked Ed to check on it if he could, and I don't know if we did. I don't have firsthand knowledge, so maybe it's wrong, but I believe that they scheduled a town meeting in a couple of weeks. And I'm just a little concerned. The average age of the people that go there is my age or older. And, I didn't know if any thought or consideration was given to even doing it out at the bleachers or something. I understand we have to do it for, fiscally, we need to vote to move money and keep the town running. But just doesn't seem, I don't know, maybe you have to by law do it that way. I wanted to find out if anybody had been talked to about that, if we thought that was the best way to do it.
So
Ed?
they're holding it at the school. But your question was, no, they didn't consult us. It was kind of their decision. And they have a number of rooms where they want a social distance. So it'll be in the auditorium with everyone spread out. If there's too many people, then some of them go to the gymnasium, and then there's even a third room where they can go. But you only could speak at the auditorium. So if you want to speak and you're in one of the rooms, you have to let them know that, and then you would go to the auditorium just to speak and say your thing and then go back. But the idea is you have several rooms. Everyone will be spread out. They aren't expecting a big crowd. It's definitely, they're expecting something to be less than your typical town meeting. But they are planning on holding it indoors. No, they didn't consult us.
So we'll get a quorum by like 8 o'clock.
I heard that there's some type of rule change that they don't have to have a quorum because of the COVID-19, so.
Oh, wow.
Well, you have to have so many people there, and it may be reduced than what it used to be, but there is still a minimum you have to have there.
Okay. All right, that's all I was wondering. At least some consideration went into those things, because, when I heard that, I was just thinking maybe on the bleachers, or maybe we could find another way to do it a little safer. But if they're going to spread people out all through the school, I guess that's what they're going to go with. And depending on how many people show up, it probably will be okay.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
this is Jose Invencio from Lakeham. Can I speak to this?
Yes, please, go ahead.
I've been involved with the planning of the town meeting with Katie Goodfellow, the moderator, and a little bit with the selectmen. As of right now, it's going to be held in the gymnasium with 6 foot separation of every chair. And that seats about 120. And with me there will be 121 voters. The state legislation only requires 10% of quorum, or 10 people at our 100-person quorum. Now, the town moderator has asked the selectmen to move it to the stadium, the football stadium. The selectmen were not in favor of that because it would require an earlier start time, like 5 p.m., to avoid the mosquitoes. And there's also a date issue because Freetown already scheduled their town meeting at the stadium, at the football stadium, on the 23rd. That's the latest as of Monday selectmen meeting. I suggest you contact Katie Goodfellow, the moderator. It's up to her and the selectmen to agree on how to hold this town meeting. Any questions?
So do I hear you right that 10 people can show up and just vote whatever they want to have go on?
There are 11 residents on the dais who could be voters as long as all the FinCom shows up. So it's possible to hold that town meeting but that's not what they want. They want to be able to welcome as many people as possible. There's also a second issue, which is the special town meeting requires 100 people. It doesn't fall under the special legislation of 10%. So there's a second part of the meeting, special town meeting, that has other issues that need to be brought up. So we need 100 people by 8 o'clock. If we're holding it inside at 7 o'clock and the special town meeting is scheduled for 8 o'clock and we need 100 people by then in order to hold that special town meeting. But again, I suggest Mr. Cullen contact the selectman's office and also the town moderator, Katie Goodfellow, for the latest on this, because I only know what's publicly known at the selectman meeting as of Monday. I don't know if they're discussing it tonight after they talk to FinCom and CapEx committees.
Okay.
I hope that's helpful.
Yeah, I didn't know any of that. I had reached out to try to find out what the plan was, so that was very helpful. So Freetown is gonna have theirs out at the bleachers, but we're not?
As of right now.
Okay.
And I'm the one who drew up the map, the seating chart for the 120 people in the gymnasium, and I can send that to Mr. Cullen, and he can share that with you folks too.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question on that. So now what if more than 120 people show up at that meeting in the auditorium?
Yeah.
They have to allow them to come in. They can't refuse them to come in.
The secondary room would be the cafeteria, and then Lakeville would have to ship a signal into there live, which has its own issues. The other means of getting more people into the gymnasium is having families sit together, and then having more room for spaced out 6-foot spaced out chairs. And they're talking about that seating chart, wedding style seating chart, and actually guiding people to their chairs. It was one of the recommendations. But yeah, that's a complication.
Okay, thank you. I'm with you, Bob, also. I think Ed should be involved, and us as the Board of Health, definitely, on helping the selectmen with this decision and putting our input on it to make sure it's done safely. Do you have any objection to that, Ed?
No, I don't, and I would agree with Bob's comment too. A lot of things are opening now in phase 1 and phase 2, and almost all of them are outdoors. There's a big difference between outdoor transmission and indoor transmission. So whenever possible, we should do things outdoors.
Just to clarify, it's Freetown's June 20th. We are June 23rd right now. I did ask if it would be possible to do 27th. For some reason, that was not possible. Or I don't know why. But
Because they're doing a Saturday, that's why they're able to do it earlier to avoid mosquitoes. And we should probably do it the Saturday before or Saturday after.
that would be the 13th. That would be the Saturday before the election, though. The election is
There's 2 contested seats.
the election has an impact on the town meeting, either
Right, because of the selectmen.
79 funding, if it passes.
Well, that too. I forgot about that. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Again, I suggest you talk to the people who are making the decisions. They're not me. And I'll send you that seating chart. Thank you.
Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Okay, Bob, do you have any other,
Nope, that was it.
okay, Chris Pratt, do you have any recent Board of Health agent pending items you'd like to discuss?
Just with the restaurants opening up next week and the outdoor seating, there's a little, the emails going around this week. So we don't have to do anything, right? They're already approved to go outside. It's just the selectmen that have to deal with the liquor license part of it. Is that where we're at right now?
Edward, did you clarify that?
Yeah, pretty much. Most of the people who already have liquor license, a lot of them already have patios, so there's really not much to do. Like most of the golf courses, they have outdoor seating, so there's nothing to do there. If there is someone, restaurant, and there's 1 or 2 where they'll want to put it in a parking lot, and they will have to go through, like you said, the local licensing authority, the selectmen. But for the majority of them, like I think Baldi's and the golf courses, they already have it, so it's no extension or anything like that. And yeah, there are some requirements that they have to do for that, but it's kind of they can do it on their own, and they have to self-certified and make sure everything's in line. And then if there are any issues, then we get the complaints and we'll go out and inspect. But for the most part, we don't have to do any pre-inspections or anything like that.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, that was my question. So they're allowed to open on their own as long as they do all the requirements needed
Correct.
without going through the Board of Health. Okay.
Yeah, they're supposed to have a list posted on how they're meeting it, hanging up in the restaurant, I believe, someplace that, and that's about it. They just have to meet it on their own and cover the guidelines, I believe.
Correct. Yeah, they do have to post those, and that way the customer can say, okay, they aren't doing this checklist, so they can have some oversight over it. The only real issue everyone's worried about is bathrooms. So they are allowed to go indoors to use the bathrooms, but they're supposed to limit the number of people. And that's the big question. How do you limit the number of people going in the bathroom? And that's something they're going to have to work on their own. And if they don't do it properly, then we'll hear about it.
Okay, thank you. I got questions for you, Ed. Also on our yearly inspections of the restaurants. I know we're supposed to have 2 yearly. I think pretty much we've waived all of our first inspection, seeing the COVID-19 arose. I don't believe Derek has done any for this year, and we're already June now. Are we going to start doing them? And especially if there is a restaurant that has been closed for the prior 2 months and is now reopening, should we make it a priority for Derek to go inspect those?
Well, he did do J&J Seafood, which is a seasonal restaurant, and he did do that prior to them opening. And then he's done the inspections on the new food trucks that we had approved at the last meetings as well. But yeah, those are the only ones he's done. He hasn't done the typical ones. So for the restaurants, no, they don't need an inspection before they open up. But like you said, if the board feels that a restaurant that has been closed and isn't doing takeout or anything like that, if you feel they need an inspection, we could do something, and notify them. And most of them would be okay with just us doing an inspection. Like I said, we need to do them anyway. So whether we choose to do them now when they're opening or a month from now, that's up to us. So that's our choice of when we want to do it. Like I said, if the board feels that you'd rather do it sooner, but prior to them or the day of opening, then we can do that as well.
I don't think that we go out and check golf courses after they close down for the winter, right? I mean, they just reopen on their own, don't they?
Correct. Yeah, there was nothing to check on golf courses.
Yeah, so.
Well, most of them are year round, aren't they? The restaurants inside the golf courses?
Most of the restaurants are still doing takeout right now. So like I said, there was one seasonal. So like I said, when we say they're closed, they're not really closed. They're closed to customers going inside, but they are cooking and they are having, processing food and cooking it. So technically they're open.
Okay.
Okay. So the all of the golf courses have been open for food for takeout through this COVID-19. Do we know that?
Some of them have. I don't know if all of them have. Maybe you guys know more on that.
I have no idea.
I can check.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe just prioritize if they were closed down completely. Maybe they get pumped to the top of the list just to make sure they're ready to go for this next phase.
Yeah, I'm with you, Chris. Maybe we can go through our list of restaurants and just kind of check off which ones have been open that are going to open.
The Orchid was closed for a while, and they are opening up soon. So that might be one on your list too, if that's a criteria we're going to use.
Plus, did Derek go back out there after the fire?
Not while I have been here.
Okay. Huh. Because I think that's a regulation, right? They have to be re-inspected if they've had a fire. Because that was only a couple weeks ago, right?
The fire?
Yeah. I saw it on Facebook. They had some kind of prep area. They had rice or something in their prep area that caught on fire. They put it out, and in putting it out, it sent steam and smoke in the air, and it set off the alarm system. And the first firefighter in the door said that everyone was still working when they walked in the door. I mean, it was out, but they had to vent the place, and maybe there wasn't enough damage for them or any damage. It was probably just a simple, tiny thing where it wasn't a reinspection thing. But I know, like, if there's something substantial, usually it must have not been something substantial, because I think the fire department would have notified us if it was something of substantiated, like whether enough rework had to be done or cleanup had to be done where they would need to be re-inspected afterwards.
Yeah, we were not notified.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, only thing I'd like to add is if we're gonna start going around to these places, just be conscious, these restaurants won't be at full, they're probably only bringing in a couple of servers and a couple of people in the kitchen. And I know we've discussed it before. If we're gonna go back out, I'm fine with that. We gotta check them, but let's just not go at lunch when they're already shorthanded and trying to figure out this new system, until we give them a couple of days, in the middle of the rush times, because, no one's going to bring back all their waiters, all their bartenders, all their staff at the same time. They just can't afford to, because they're not going to have, they're not going to have the clients yet, because they're going to be at a limited capacity. So just be mindful when we go out that, we're giving them the benefit of the doubt that they're having some challenges too right now.
Okay, Bob. Yeah. My only comment on that was just if we wanted to start the process of having Derek do restaurant inspections, because they were pretty much on hold unless the ones we had to do, like Edward had commented on. And maybe, like Chris said, just prioritize the ones that had been closed, if there was even any that had been closed for 2 months. Because it does take months to go through all the restaurants on Derek's schedule. Edward, were you going to try to go to a couple of the inspections with Derek?
Yeah, I was hoping to. I also signed up for a Safe Serve class. It's actually the day of the town meeting.
I like how you did that one.
I can change it.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm fine with that. Ed, you can just follow up on that and just see what Derek's schedule is and see if, within at some point to start some of this will probably only be the one food inspection I'll have for the year, seeing the other one was waived when he does get through them. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah, we won't have to do the 2, I don't believe.
Okay. All right, Chris, we were still on with you. Do you have any other pending items besides this one?
One just came to mind. My soil evaluator application that didn't get put on this agenda. I just realized it while I was sitting here. Because I dropped the application off last week, or actually like the day after the last meeting. So we just need to have it put on the meeting so we can vote, or you guys can vote to approve it.
Okay, yeah, sorry for that, Chris.
That's all right. I forgot to. But that was it.
Is our next meeting going to be enough time for you to get that class in, or do we have to have a special?
There's no class. It's just a renewal.
Oh, okay.
We just got to vote that it's okay to write the check.
Okay. And it's not going to run out before our next meeting?
No.
Okay.
All right, thanks, Chris. Edward, would you like to say anything else under the old items or anything on the COVID-19 updates?
Yeah, on the COVID-19 updates. So the numbers look really good. They are decreasing. And I think not only in Massachusetts, but in Lakeville as well, they're really coming down. Everyone's doing a good job. That's not a reason to stop social distancing. We're getting a lot of calls now about, kids playing basketball and things like that. Whereas like we got to this point because we stayed apart. And like I said, it's great that these businesses are open up, but remember, when the restaurant opens up, they still have to social distance. It's not going to be the way it used to be. So just I want everyone to keep in mind that, you still have to social distance. That's what got us here. And if we stop it, we're going to start creeping back up. Like I said, we're not saying you have to stay in your home anymore, but just when you go out, you know all the things to do. Either stay 6 feet apart if you're not going to wear a mask, and wash your hands. So if we keep doing that, we'll keep those numbers down. The other thing is not COVID related, but Triple E. That season is coming in now. We are getting a lot of calls too about stagnant water in people's yards. Please, if you do know your neighbors have water in the yard, please let us know. There's a lot we can do. We're not going to go out and find them. We're just going to try to work with them. We do have a little dunks that we could put in there to prevent it if you cannot empty it. But please, we all got to work together on this. So if you do have your neighbor has it, just tell them tell them to dump it out or whatever. And if there's an issue, give us a call and we'll talk to them. Like I said, we're not looking to get anyone in trouble. We just want everyone to participate. We don't want another season like last year. So we need to start doing that now. So like I said, keep your eyes out and, don't be afraid to say it. Hey, because maybe your neighbor doesn't know he has stagnant water or whatever. So we all need to be aware of this going forward.
Thank you, Ed. I just have one comment that I talked to Ed earlier on. Was it 21 Pierce Ave? Was that the address?
22, yes.
22 Pierce Ave. It is something that we had on a previous meeting where they had to get rid of the tank they wanted to keep that was almost 80 years old. Bob and Pilucci, do you remember this one? Do you know which one I'm talking about?
Yeah, wasn't the owner an engineer and he said it was poured in place or something?
I don't believe he might have been. I don't remember that, but yes, it's the one that was poured in place 80 years ago, and he'd come to the meeting and asked us to allow him to keep it. Chris, do you remember this one also?
I do.
Okay. That one still has not been removed and done to our vote, and he's asking to come back to the meeting again. I'm just getting your input if we should put him back on the agenda. Ed was going to reach out to him a little more, I believe, tomorrow. I don't think anything's changed from what I'm aware of. I don't know if he's just going to ask for the same thing again. What's your opinion, Bob Palucci?
He can tell Ed if something changed, but I mean, what's Title V? 20 years you're supposed to change it? I mean, on a repair, it's, that thing's, that's not like a year past the date, if I remember correctly. It's like 40 years past the date. I mean, if there's some new issue that came up, but I mean, I know he doesn't want to, but, that's not a local reg. That's not our rules or our regulations. And again, it's not even close. It's 30, 40, 50 years past the date. We make everybody else change them. I don't think we even have a choice in it.
Chris Spratt, do you have any comment? Do you remember this?
Yeah, I believe we even looking at the plans, we had the suggested stuff that was, because I think he was worried about walls and other stuff and impact. And I think we even pointed out some places he could move it to that would be less impactful. I think he just doesn't. He thinks it's a great tank and it doesn't need to be replaced. But yeah, it's like Bob just said. It's out of our hands. It's Title V. It's not a local thing. It's a state thing. And I mean, at some point he's going to sell that property, and I'm sure the new homeowners are going to want that new tank in there, not some 40-year-old tank.
80-year-old.
Okay, yeah, I believe the tank is 80 years old.
Oh, it's 80?
It was built in the 40s.
I did look at the plan briefly before this meeting, and that tank was just supposed to be decommissioned, and they were supposed to repipe it into a new 1,500 two-compartment down at the D-box, which they put in. The new two-compartment 1,500-gallon tank at the D-box is there. I believe the owner didn't want to decommission this because it was such a far distance between the house and this new septic tank. He didn't want the solids going that way. He was very concerned this pipe would clog. That was the reason he didn't want to decommission this tank. He just wanted to leave it the way they did it. And we were saying he needed to decommission it. That's what I recall on that one. Just an update for you, Ed.
All right, if that's the case, there's a lot of options there. I mean, rather than doing a regular clean out, you can do like a D-box clean out where it's basically a D-box, and that's where you put your bend in. And so if it does ever clogs, you just open it up and it's easy to unclog. And like I said, like that, I mean, in sewers all the time, sewer manholes, they never clog because there's so many access points to it. So even if it's just putting a manhole down there. So like I said, if that's his only excuse, there's a lot of options that we can do to prevent any clogging like that. And the Bob's point, if it was a pour, it's very difficult to pour a single pour on a tank. Usually they pour the base and then they pour the walls. And if that's the case, after 80 years, you're going to expect some leakage between the two pours. So yeah, that would be a high risk for leaking that tank.
Okay. Thank you, Ed. So maybe you can just reach out to him and just see what he's thinking. Now you're somewhat up to speed on it. I'm sure the meeting was recorded. If you did want to look back at the meeting, just to see what we discussed before you talked to him. So, because I know he dealt with Kevin prior to your hiring.
Okay. Yeah, we just got the letter the other day, so we couldn't actually put it on this meeting. So I guess we can, like I said, put it on the next meeting, and then I can do a little more research on it to find out what's going on.
If I can, I'd just like to make a point. That was a long enough meeting that night when we were all face to face and easy to talk. I mean, unless something drastically changed and he can get a waiver from DEP to leave his 80-year-old tank in, I mean, if I remember properly, we kind of beat that to death. I mean, I don't think there's a whole lot more that we need to talk about and put on a meeting unless there's something, that you feel, warrants it being on another meeting.
No, I don't think it should go on another meeting. I was just going to suggest other things to him as an alternate to going back to this, or an alternate to whatever he's resisting. But like I said, there are a lot of options rather than keeping that old tank there. So hopefully I can persuade him to do something else rather than that. And like I said, I agree that I don't think another meeting is necessary.
I'm in agreement with you, Bob, 100% on that one. Unless something drastically changed or Ed feels it needs to get brought to us again. Chris, any other comment?
I agree.
Okay. That's all I have under recent Board of Health pending items. Anything else, Bob? One more time.
I'm all set.
Chris?
I'm good.
Edward?
All set.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? Bob Palucci?
Aye.
Chris Pratt?
Aye.
Derek Maxim? Aye. Thank you.
Good night, everyone.
Thanks, Bob. Thanks, Ed.